Hey, welcome back to Chicago Motor Cars. You suck as a dealership. Hey, we're back to exposing Chicago Motor Cars for their fraud and falsely advertising cars. And if you've been following us, you know it's been a little while since we've put out a video. It's because we've been saving up some of these. And I think you're going to like this one today. We've been researching this car here for about 4 months. It is a 2012 Lamborghini, VIN number ending in LA00104. Now, Chicago Motor Cars had this car up on their website for sale for $449,800. Has 1,800 miles on it. Now, as always, you know, Chicago Motor Cars advertises them as brand new. This one says virtually brand new. Be the first owner. No issues, no accidents. You know, just a clean slate. Now, is that really the situation with this car? Let's go back about 2 months before Chicago Motor Cars owned this car. You see, this car was involved in a serious accident out of Houston, Texas. The gentleman who originally bought this car had the car for about 2 weeks and got into a bad accident one night leaving a nightclub. He ended up wrecking 3 cars, hurting 2 pedestrians. And fortunately for us, this is the news footage. Now, this is the news footage that caught our eye. Because, let's be honest, how many 2012 white Lamborghinis are there out there? Not that many. So what did we do? We took this news footage and reached out to the Houston Police Department, where we obtained the police report. Now, you can see from this police report the VIN number of that Lamborghini clearly ends in, yep, LA00104. The police report goes on to show that the driver of the Lamborghini came out, couldn't control the car, didn't know really how to drive the car, and ends up running over 2 pedestrians and smacking up 3 cars. Now you say, well, how bad was the accident? Well, here's a picture of the Lamborghini. Here's a picture of the front clip. Here's a picture of the scene. And let's see what kind of damage it did to one of the other cars. Well, here's a picture of a Mercedes where it basically ripped off the entire front. Now, you would think that this car would be done. No, of course not. Because this is where we get back to Chicago Motor Cars. Because shortly after that, Chicago Motor Cars advertises this same car on their website, virtually brand new. No known accidents. Really? You just watched news footage and looked at a police report showing and proving that this car had been involved in an accident. Now, let's give Chicago Motor Cars the benefit of the doubt, because you know I like to test them. And how I test them is, this here is a clip of their website. The clip on the left is before they realized we were investigating this car, and as you can clearly see, the VIN number is displayed there. The clip on the right from their website is a day after they realized we were investigating this car, and as you can clearly see, the entire VIN number has been X'd out and all Z's put there. Now, does it end there? Why, of course not. We wouldn't be reporting this if it was just as simple as that. The next thing they did is, once again, the clip on the left is before we were investigating. The clip on the right is after they realized we were investigating. And if you look, the vehicle history on the right has been removed from the website. the auto check guarantee, Carfax guarantee, no previously reported accident history, all that's been removed. Why? To try to cover up that Chicago Motor Cars clearly knew this car had been in an accident, and they had lied to the person that they had sold this car to. Now, who did they sell the car to? Chicago Motor Cars actually sold the car to an Ohio dealership, Marshall & Goldman. Once we researched this and realized that this is what happened, we reached out to Marshall Goldman and spoke to a very nice gentleman by the name of Gene. Now, when we uncovered this to Gene, he couldn't believe it. We'd asked him, well, didn't you realize that the front clip of this car had been repainted? He said yes, and he brought this up to Prince Shaw at Chicago Motor Cars. Prince Shaw had told him that there was a scratch in the fender, and he didn't want to ship it to him like that, so he had the front of this car repainted. Now, do we need to go back to the photo? Does that look like a scratch? No. Prince Shaw obviously lied, pulled the wool over this high-end dealership out of Ohio, and basically put them in a pickle. You see, because by the time I got a hold of this Ohio dealership, they had already sold the car to one of their exclusive customers. Now, this put Marshall & Goldman in a very bad position. But they reached out to their customer. They explained to them that they had just been taken and defrauded by Chicago Motor Cars. And because of our help with this dealership, I received an email back from Marshall & Goldman saying this: "Thank you very much for your help. We had Chicago Motor Cars purchase the car back from us. We appreciate your concern on this matter, Gene." Now, the car is back in the hands of Chicago Motor Cars. Do you think the story ends there? Why, of course not. You see, Chicago Motor Cars knows we're on to them. They're trying desperately to unload this car and get it out. But you know, you'd think they would step up to the plate, be men, and be honest. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Chicago Motor Cars can never be honest. They are as crooked as a crooked dealership comes. And who do they involved in their crookedness now? They sell the car now to Ferrari Maserati out of Fort Lauderdale. Now, a gentleman by the name of Jack down there buys this car because he has a very high-end customer looking for this particular car. Chicago Motor Cars promises Jack that this car is in mint condition, no issues, no concerns, nothing. Now, before we could get a hold of Jack, Jack reaches out to us. He sends this email, "Please call me," and he gives me his number. Well, we explained to Jack the history of this car, the news footage, the police reports, all the evidence, the issue at the Ohio dealership, and he goes nuts. He's got one of his very top-notch customers now in possession of this car, and he's got to go explain to this customer he's been duped. He's been screwed over by Chicago Motor Cars. But as always, we asked him the very same question. How did Chicago Motor Cars dupe you in this vehicle? Well, Jack explains the same thing. He says, we caught that the car had been repainted, and we brought this up to Prince Shaw at Chicago Motor Cars. Prince Shaw explains that the previous customer ran over a speed bump a little too fast, and Prince Shaw decided to paint the front clip. Speed bump? Wow. Hey, Prince Shaw, that's one hell of a speed bump. But we all know It wasn't a speed bump. This car was involved in a serious accident. And now Chicago Motor Cars is doing everything they can do to cover this up. You see, Chicago Motor Cars will stop at nothing in committing their fraud. Now, about a week ago, Frank Sacco, the owner of Chicago Motor Cars, reached out to me. I think he knew all this was coming to a head, and he wanted to offer me a settlement to go away. We did not take Frank Sacco's settlement. We're more interested in exposing this dealership and shutting them down. But in the middle of that, I questioned Frank about this car and his 2 cases of fraud. Now you're going to be very amused by Frank's response. This is his response. And that's not fraud, just so you know. It's dealer to dealer. So if dealer 1 takes a car that's been in a serious accident, repaints it, and does not tell dealer 2, and dealer 2 sells it to their customer who just got screwed over on a car, that's not fraud? Oh, I get it, Frank. It's only fraud if you get caught. Crenshaw, Frank Sacco, when will it ever end? Is it when that we finally get this message out to everybody and we close your doors? Or is it when the authorities finally catch up to you and send you to jail? You know, one of the last things I want to bring up to you is the Carfax. Now, one of the mysteries that we've never been able to uncover is, how do these major accidents escape the Carfax? I'm going to have all this information on a website that will be listed right below this video, and I want you to go through and just look at all the research we did on this car. Look at the extent that Chicago Motor Cars did to try to defraud the customers that were buying this car. Look at the extent of how they try to cover it up on their website. Changing VIN numbers. Changing the description of the car. And where did it all start? It started April 29th, when Chicago Motor Cars loaded up this very car, posted it on their Facebook, sold bye-bye Aventador, and they ship it to the Ohio dealership. It's like Chicago Motor Cars was proud of themselves that they knew they just bought this Lamborghini for basically probably nothing. Somebody repaired it, and now Chicago Motor Cars sold it for almost $500,000, defrauding one of their customers, which just happened to be Marshall Goldman. Knowing that they were going to be selling it to one of their customers, and the potential of a lawsuit would be overwhelming. I just think to myself, Crenshaw, Frank Sacco, how do you sleep at night? As always, boys, shame on you.